Good afternoon, members. To the chairman of our Alumni Association, Dr. Sipogazi Koyana, the Inanda Seminary School Principal, Ms. Thembi Ndlovu, our esteemed guest speakers, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, and Advocate Tony Thandi Orlane. I would like to welcome everybody to this webinar today. My name is Advocate Cawe Mahlati, and I have the honor of being your program director today. I am a member, having spent 5 years in Inanda from age 12 to 16, and I am the alumni of the class of 73. Today, August 30, as we enter the last day of Women's Day, in South Africa during the pandemic of COVID-19, I'd like to just reference our theme today. We have assembled esteemed speakers who are going to unpack for us what a future reimagined could be as we face both the pandemic of COVID-19 and the techno shift that is being brought by 4IR. But before we get into the program, I would like all of us to pause for 1 minute as we give a moment of silence to those that have succumbed to COVID-19. Inanda Seminary has not been left unscathed by it. We have the departed from the Alumni Association, namely Queen Noloyiso Sandile, ne Princess Nomusa Zulu. We have Dr. Thabisile Luthuli. We also have a member of staff, namely Mrs. Naidu, our English teacher at the school, together with 13,000 fellow South Africans who have succumbed to COVID-19. As we think about those women, we also need to give this moment of silence and dedicate it to the women who during this pandemic have been killed by men in the context of gender-based violence. And what is so sad is that this gender-based violence and the killing that has gone on has happened during the month of to honor the women. So we will wait then for a minute so that we can give this honor in silence. Members and all our guests and the people that are on this webinar, at this time, I would, prior to calling up the chairman of ISOGA, followed immediately by the principal of Inanda, I would like to just mention that this event is primarily a fundraising event that has been organized by the fundraising committee as we are aware that Inanda is also undergoing serious financial challenges. The COVID pandemic has also left us not unscathed. We've got a number of matriculants in particular who, because of the pandemic and the effect that the negative economic effect that it has had on families, have been unable to pay for their school fees. And we would dearly like you to continue to, there will be a silent auction going on throughout this event, and it will not end until the 2nd of September. At this time, I would like to call upon Dr. Spogazi Koyan, the chair of the ISAA, and also for the principal, Ms. Tembi, to please follow as soon as Dr. Koyan, as soon as Dr. Koyana is available. As soon as she's finished, I'm terribly sorry. Go ahead, Sport.
Good morning, everyone. It's afternoon, sorry, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me? Yes? I wanted to just welcome everyone to this event and tell you that we're very excited as ISA, as the Inanda Seminary Alumni Association is called, and to greet all the members who are tuned in, and to greet all our guests from far and near who have decided to join us on a Sunday afternoon, which is family time in South Africa. So thank you so much for being so kind and for taking this call very seriously. As has been mentioned already, this fundraising event is to assist those students who've been badly affected by COVID-19 at the school financially. Some of them, they've lost parents. Some of them, the parents have lost their jobs. So we thought as the alumni, we should get together and plan and see what we can do to assist them. So thank you to everyone who's joining us who did not necessarily go to Inanda, but feel strongly that it's important to help educate Black girls. So we consider you friends of Inanda Seminary. And from this day forward, we trust that you'll also consider yourselves as friends of the school. So we extend a warm hand of welcome, and we hope that our relationship starting today will be a long one, and that in future, when we ask for your help and assistance and participation, you will continue to walk this journey with us. We are very excited to be associated with Inanda as people who graduated from that school, because it's an extraordinary privilege to be part of that history. Inanda Seminary is this year 151 years old. And we just are really grateful to the women who started it, the principals who have continued the legacy, all the staff and students and alumni across the world who have kept the flag high, who continue to shine wherever they are, the families that support them, and we thank you very much for being part of this event. So without much further ado, I want to just say welcome, welcome. Look forward to an exciting event. Our subcommittee on fundraising has worked very hard to put this together. We sourced auction items from far and near. So we also have got great entertainment coming up. Sit back wherever you are. Keep warm. It's a cold day here in East London where I am, and enjoy the proceedings. And thanks again for taking the time to celebrate with us what Inanda is, what Inanda will be in the future as it goes digital. The school has got exciting plans to pilot a full online education program in 2021, but I'm sure you'll hear all about that from the principal. And this has been spurred by its response to COVID. Instead of shying away from it, Inanda is going full head on, being bold and trying to be at the cutting edge on how to use technology to educate And I'm sure that will help the school to produce an excellent caliber of digitally savvy students who will be well-rounded leaders as we go into the 4IR. So here's to Inanda, here's to all of you participants, and here is to Women's Month 2020. Enjoy.
Ms. Thembi, you are now welcome onto the stage.
Thank you, Program Director. My name is Thembi Ndlovu, the Principal of Inanda Seminary. Firstly, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to ISA for organizing this function. We always say we are standing on the shoulders of the giants when we look at everyone that have gone through Inanda Seminary and also the role that they have played. But currently, we can say that those giants are actually walking the journey with us through ISA. And I am so grateful on behalf of the Inanda Seminary members, as well as the Inanda Seminary staff. I'd like to extend our sincere thanks. Like Spogaze said, we have been affected by COVID-19, but we didn't sit back and say, this is the situation. We understand we've got all the challenges, and there were so many changes that had to take place on our campus. For example, the campus changed because we had to make sure that we are reopen and function as a school in different areas of the campus, and social distancing markers in different areas, so that members will constantly be reminded of the new normal. Although it was a challenge, but having these markers all over the campus was also a way of helping. And even in our hostels, because our members were used to be in large groups, but we had to actually make sure that we changed that. And as a result of that, the chapel and the chapel hall had to be converted into dormitory for the grade 8s and the grade 9s. And the girls are actually enjoying being in that space, and they affectionately call it Jesus Dome. When we reopened, we had to make sure that we are ready and we are able to follow the protocols and procedures. So training had to take place, and we had to actually look at the standard operating procedure for all our staff as well as our members. We had to platoon our meals in the dining hall because we couldn't have all students in the dining hall, so different grades had to be in the dining hall at a certain time. And because of that, our ground staff and property staff had to do a lot of work in terms of making sure that they are spraying and sanitizing before each and every group comes in. And also the screening that had to take place in the dining hall. And our main thing that made us also realize that there is a lot that we still need to do, because during lockdown, we had to go online. And when we went online during lockdown, it was a very quick initiative, and we were not properly prepared. But nevertheless, we had to do online professional development for teachers so that we make sure that we bring them up to speed. So as much as COVID-19 affected us, but as a school, we also looked for opportunities. And that is why we are going to be launching our pilot online school, because we've realized that as a school, we've never been following others, but we also want to be leading the pack. So as a result, we will be launching our pilot online school. Currently, we are doing it, and we are only doing it with those students that have chronic illnesses who cannot be with us on campus. And how we have managed COVID, it has been a major challenge, especially when we first reported our first cases, because our students were anxious, and out of fear, parents decided to take most of their students. We lost about 100 students who had to actually go home because parents were actually trying to protect them. But that did not stop us as a school to carry on functioning. We continued with lessons up until such a time where parents were also realizing that the school has got all what it takes to ensure that the students are safe. And then gradually the members were able to come back. And there was a lot that needed to be done during that time, even though the teachers were actually in fear because we were not sure in terms of our financial status as well. But the teachers had to persevere and put their anxiety away and ensure that they are helping the students to catch up for the time that they have lost. So the situation has been very calm at our school, regardless of all the challenges that we have encountered. And with the financial implication, I'd like to thank Judy in her absence as well as Simone, because they played a major role in trying to ensure that all staff members are getting their salaries. They had to, Simone especially, had to apply for a UIF which took a long time, but eventually it came and it was able to help. And I must say that even though we've got quite a number of students back, but they are back because they will only have to pay 30% of what they were owing. So which means they are back, but their school fees are not up to date. And I'm so grateful to report that at this stage, we are a virus-free environment, and we have shifted from the crisis mode. We have realized that COVID-19 is going to be with us for quite some time, and we cannot sit back and wait for things to happen. We have to actually take the initiative of making sure that as a school we thrive, because we look at everyone that has gone through Inanda, and also we want to maintain the same high standard that Inanda Seminary has. So that is why we are working very hard despite all the challenges that we have, and also the support that ISA and the board members are giving us is actually enabling us to carry on and persevere regardless of what challenges we are encountering. Thank you very much. I hope this is going to yield good results for Inanda Seminary as well as its members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tembi Ndlovu. I had the singular and with others honor of listening to your presentation in the last, in our last at-home meeting, and we as the alumni are absolutely grateful that you accepted the position to lead Inanda Seminary. Without much further ado now, I would like to introduce Dr. Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka, an alumni of our the university that we both attended, the National University of Lesotho. She is going to be sharing with us or discussing a topic that is really topical. It is called How COVID-19 4IR Life Scenarios Might Look Like Going Forward, and particularly the impact thereof on women in Africa in particular. Dr. Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka, as you all know, is the United Nations Under-Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Women. Now in her second term, which ends at 2021. She was first sworn into office on 19th August 2013. She began her career as a leader in South Africa, as an activist in the struggle against apartheid. She was part of the women's movement that organized the women's rights, ensuring that we were enshrined in the new constitution of a free South Africa. She became a member of parliament and deputy minister in the Mandela government. Later, she was appointed Minister of Minerals and Energy and piloted and fought against blood diamonds. Thereafter, she was elevated to become the deputy president of the country. And within that particular capacity, she worked to fight against HIV and AIDS. She was coordinating efforts between the private sector, civil society, and government to tackle poverty and education issues. As the head of the UN entity dedicated to gender equality and empowerment of women, she is a global advocate and influencer. In 2018 and 2019, she was honored and she was named as one of the most influential persons in gender policies around the world. She is a member of the G7 Gender Advisory Council. Under her leadership, the groundbreaking high-level panel on women's economic empowerment was convened by the UN Secretary General in 2014, and it highlighted key issues for concerted action, including the overrepresentation of women in the informal sector, unpaid care, and harmful gender norms, and the stereotypes that constrain progress. She has led the organization's innovative work on disruption of society's norms. For example, with her he for she movement's focus on male engagement in gender equality, or the Unstereotype Alliance initiative to use advertising as a force for good to drive positive change. In 2019, the advertising industry recognized her efforts in this regard and her advocacy for women, human rights, social justice throughout the world with the prestigious Lionheart Award. Through the coalition and the movement of building among global leaders in the public and private sector with civil society, she is driving the role of women in leadership and ending discrimination and violence against women and girls. She indeed is at the forefront of the struggle for the emancipation of women and girls. She has a PhD in education and technology from the University of Warwick, United Kingdom. Might I add that her first degree was from the National University of Lesotho, my alumni. She is married and has a son. I would therefore, I now have the honor of heartily inviting Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka to please address us.
Dr. Phumzile, if you can hear us, you can just switch on your camera and your microphone.
Has she switched on, Corne?
It doesn't seem like it. So we had her on just before we started and everything worked well. So it seems like she's trying to just connect. Can you just switch on your microphone at least, Doctor? So it's the button right at the left of the screen. Sorry, everybody, we're just trying to sort out this technical issue. Dr. Phumzile, can you just, at the top of your screen, right to the left, there's a little turn the video on. You can just click on that, and then you can click on the microphone right next to it.
Corne. Corne. Hello. Nobody can hear me. Switch me off. Corne. Nobody can hear me.
Advocate Kavya, if you could hear me, there's problems with Dr. Pumzile, so she's asked if we can go to the next speaker, if that is possible. I'm not sure if the next speaker is online.
Can you just check whether Lihle Ngongoma is there? But meanwhile, let me introduce her.
Okay, so we can play her music video then.
Absolutely. Play her music video, and thereafter I can also do her CV, and then we can wait for whether we can get Pumzile on. Corne? Corne?
Tembele cha izovuselela umphefumulo wakho ikunike ithemba elitsha izovuselela umphefumulo wakho ikunike ithemba elitsha.
Program Director, it's Corne. I think Dr. Pumzile has joined us again. If we could maybe just check her video and camera, if she could join us on stage to see if she's here. Otherwise, we can maybe start with Advocate Thandi Orlain's presentation. Oh, there she is. Perfect.
There she is. Welcome, Dr. Pumzile.
Can you see me?
We could see you, and then you went away again. So we had video with you, and then your video went away.
Can I
Can you?
go ahead, Dr. Mlambo Ngcuka?
Yes, okay. As long as you can hear me. Good.
We can hear you. You can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry for the fact that technology disorganized us for a while. And I want to thank you for inviting me to this event, even though I'm a new member. I went to Ohlange, so Inanda was a bit of competition to us in many ways. And congratulations for all that you have achieved as the old girls of Inanda, something that is eluding us in many institutions that need the kind of attention you are giving to Inanda. And I want to thank you, Principal, for all the good work you do. And thank you also, Kawe, for the kind introduction. I'm sorry you got such a long CV because I was beginning to feel it's taking too much of your time. We are indeed facing this challenge of schools that are struggling. And I just hope that Inanda can challenge other schools, other alumni to do what you are doing. I think this is the one thing you can do as we are thinking of the reimagined world, doing things differently. I also want to thank you also for continuing to show the importance of girls' education and the fact that many of those who come out of Inanda continue to make us proud in many areas in our society, in South Africa, and internationally. We are in a difficult place as a country. This is a pandemic that has never been experienced by this generation, so no one has a playbook.
Dr. Pumzile, if you're still there, we've lost sound with you.
Corne?
Yes, Program Director.
There seems to be a noise at the back.
So it should be better now, but I think we've lost connection with Dr. Pumzile. I'm not sure if you would like us to go to perhaps the presentation by Advocate Thandi until we get Dr. Pumzile back online.
Can I perhaps, just for the duration, read a little bit of the CV of the lady that just gave us the entertainment?
You're welcome to.
Lihle Ngongo. Yes. Members and our guests to this event, I would like to say a little bit about the lady that just gave us the performance. Her name is Lihle Ngongoma. She is a glamorous, as you can see the picture there, and soulful young singer with an arresting stage performance. She won the ETV Pop Stars in 2019. Did I mention that she's an old Inanda girl? So she's a member. She won ETV Pop Stars in 2010, where she was chosen from 8,000 auditions countrywide. Although she won a pop competition, she sings in a variety of styles, including show tunes, jazz standards, funk, African tradition, Afro-pop, Afro-jazz, soul, R&B, and Latin. So clearly, she's not only talented, but she's also versatile. Lihle was born in a valley of 1,000 hills in KwaMqetho in 1988. I don't know about other members, but when I was a member of Inanda, there was a school of all boys, Inchanga boys, that came from the valley of 1,000 hills. And I recall that the boys that went to this particular school were highly recommended. And I just think that it is informative that Lihle comes from the same valley. So this valley also is famous for a number of unique qualities, in the sense that there is an awful lot of traditional music and dance that the people that come from a valley of 1,000 hills experience. And Lihle was no exception. She matriculated from Inanda Seminary in 2006, and then she studied towards a diploma in jazz and popular music in UKZN from 2007 to 2008. I will not go into her variety of performances, but certainly I can attest to the fact that her talent has been acknowledged. So, however, what I would like to highlight is the fact that she did a shout-out campaign with 9 Vida. She has performed on Your TV, Crazy E, and did a road show around South Africa with the cast of Scandal and Rhythm City. As an individual, has done various radio and TV shows, including an ad for Joy of Jazz in 2011. In 2019, Lihle entered the renowned jazz competition called the Emirates Pursuit of Jazz. They were looking for a form of 8-member super band with musicians from around South Africa. The judges were Sipho Hot Sticks Mabuza, Zwai Bala, and the famous Nothemba Madumo, who hosted at Bob TV when I was CEO there, the jazz program. Lihle, out of those 8,000 competitors, was selected as one of the two vocalists to join the band among 1,000 vocalists that entered. This proves Lihle's diversity and her talent, and we are exceptionally proud of her being a member. And if you have got an opportunity to support her, please make sure that you do so. And at this particular point in time, perhaps we should move to the introduction of our second guest speaker. Our second guest speaker is Advocate Thandi Orlane. I recall Thandi Orlane. She was a year behind me. She is a member of the alumni of the class of 1974. Earlier, I had said that I was an alumni of the class of 73. So Thandi came to Inanda Seminary, and she graduated and matriculated from the school in 1974. And Advocate Thandi obtained her undergraduate degree from Fort Hare University and was admitted as an attorney. During her student years at Fort Hare, they were quite tumultuous because, like all intellectuals of her generation, she was a political activist, was detained and expelled from Fort Hare University during her final LLB year. She holds a B Juris degree from Fort Hare University, a B Proc and an LLB degree from UNISA, an LLM degree from Wits, and an executive management program from Kellogg's Business School in Chicago, United States of America. She is a human rights lawyer and a socio-economic development activist whose career spans the whole 35 years. The roles that she's played within this 35-year history is that of an attorney, a mediator, an arbitrator, a facilitator, a dispute resolution practitioner, a public speaker, an executive management, and a director of fairly famous companies, which I will mention towards the end. So while she practiced as an attorney at the Legal Resources Center, she headed the Independent Mediation Services of South Africa, where she concentrated on management, fundraising, arbitration, and mediation. The Independent Mediation Services in South Africa, for all those that don't know, was the precursor for the establishment of the CCMA. So when the CCMA was established, she became its first Black female national director. And after she left the CCMA, she then embarked on her career, a very successful career in investment. But her very first board position was that at the South African Reserve Bank as an independent non-executive director. Now, members, let me tell you, to be appointed as a non-executive director at the South African Reserve Bank is a huge accolade to both your recognition and also your skill. And for Thandi, for Advocate Orlane to have been appointed as such, she makes all of us, Inanda girls and members, exceptionally proud. So the other interesting thing about Advocate Orlane is that she has straddled quite a number of various activities. For instance, she has been a commercial lawyer. She has acted as an independent non-executive director of both listed and private companies. She's also acted as trustee of various foundations and NGOs. She is presently admitted as an advocate. She's a shareholder and an executive director of Piatona Group Holdings. Piatona Group Holdings, by and of itself, is also famous because it was set up by 3 exceptionally successful women, and we applaud the fact that it is still in existence. She is also a trustee of various trusts. Notably, she's the chair of the Legal Resources Trust, and she's also at the Zenix Charitable Foundation. She's a trustee of the Friends of the Law Resources Commission, the USA and the South Africa Future Trust, which is SAFT, and members, listen to this. Advocate Thandi Orlane, a member and alumni of Inanda Seminary, is the chair of BP Southern Africa, and now she's also chair designate of Impala Platinum Limited. Thandi is married and has 3 adult children and a granddaughter. She's an avid golfer, a sports fanatic, reads voraciously, travels extensively, and is passionate about transforming mindsets. It gives me extreme pleasure, Advocate Orlane, my learned colleague, for you to please take the podium and share with us the topic, that is how COVID-19, the 4th Industrial Revolution life scenarios, have investments and or legal impact on women in Africa. You are welcome to the mic, Advocate Orlane.
Thank you, Kawe. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is always a very hard act to follow. As Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka said, she didn't realize that her CV, the long CV, was sent through. I thought I had sent through my short CV. Clearly, I need to reduce it further because I can see that it's taken from the time that I'm supposed to have to present. Firstly, I would like to thank ISA, Inanda Seminary Alumni Association, or member, for inviting me to speak today. I would like to acknowledge Ausgugu Kumalo, who is the chairperson of the Board of Governors of Inanda Seminary. I would also like to acknowledge Dr. Sipoka Zikoyana, who kindly welcomed us this afternoon as the chairperson of the alumni. I also would like to acknowledge Ms. Thembi Ndlovu, the present principal of Inanda Seminary, as well as the former principal and executive director, Ms. Judy Tate. I also would like to acknowledge, and I'm sad that I've had to come in earlier than I had planned, and I was looking forward to listening to Phumzile. Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, as she said, at Ohlange, which is less than, I think it must be about 5 kilometers from Inanda Seminary, they were always our competitors. What was exciting about this is that Ohlange High School was a co-ed, whilst Inanda Seminary, as you know, it still is a co-ed, whilst Inanda Seminary is a girls' school. So we always looked forward on open days to welcome the boys from Ohlange. And this made the girls at Ohlange High very jealous of our open days. However, we always had a very cordial and friendly relationship. So I'm really excited that she did accept our invitation to address us today, and hopefully we may be able to catch part of her address. I really would like to make our conversation quite relaxed. I would like to share some of my experiences, but I would like to share them in the context of what we would like to imagine. The context of imagining has got to be taken from the past. And if you realize what the people at the time would have imagined and what ultimately became history for us. Taking it in 1869, when Inanda Seminary was established, with Ma Edwards having traveled all the way from the US to start this girls' school and starting it with 19 girls. Imagine what the reason was. And this is a known fact from amongst our members, that we were set up as a school to provide good wives for the men or the young men who were studying at Adams College in Amanzimtoti. However, I don't believe that Reverend Daniel and Lucy Lindley imagined how independent the girls would turn out to be over the 151 years of its existence. Nobody would have imagined at the time, most probably they may have imagined, that they would bring strong, independent, supportive wives who would almost probably set up their careers as teachers at the time, as well as wives to the teachers, the ministers, and other blooming careers of Black people at the time. Think about and imagine what was happening in the country around this period. As we are aware, in KZN at the time, which was known as Natal, there were what were called then the Anglo-Zulu Wars. And we remember the famous war that happened in around 1879. And also in the Eastern Cape, we remember what used to be called the Cape Frontier Wars that started in 1779 and ended around 1889. So those times were very tumultuous. Those times were very uncertain. And now we fast forward and we come to where we are at this point. But guests and members, let me, before I fast forward, contextualize the legal environment, particularly at the beginning of the 20th century. This I do in the context of the book that was published in 2018. And this book was published by Advocate Tembeka Ngukaitobi SC. The book is titled "The Land is Ours, South Africa's First Black Lawyers and the Birth of Constitutionalism." I remember when this book was launched. It was launched with fanfare. A lot of people bought the book. I'm not sure how many people have read the book. I must say, as a lawyer, it was very interesting. But I imagine to some non-lawyers, it may be quite dry, as it traces the lives of the first Black lawyers, and I'll mention them just for context. Henry Sylvester Williams, who came from the Caribbean and studied in the UK, was the first Black advocate in the Cape from 1903 to 1905. His career didn't last long because clearly of the discrimination against Black people at the time. Then Alfred Mangena, the first Black South African attorney, Richard Msimang, Pixley ka Isaka Seme, Ngubu Poswayo, and George Montia. This book is very interesting in that it gives us the context that can be seen as the bedrock of the South African Constitution of 1996. So there was always a legal framework throughout the developments, as we see late 19th century, and particularly from the beginning of the 20th century, as we saw the industrialization of the world taking root. Now, if I frame the present, I would like to frame it within the context of the dot-com era. Those who were around in the late 80s and up to the mid 90s and interested or participating in the economy will realize the hype around the dot-com economy. Everybody wanted to be involved. Everybody wanted to be in it. And this was the beginning of the internet and the way in which it expanded and made the world come to us rather than us going to the world. So when the dot-com economy collapsed around 2000, it made a significant impact on the economy. Such impact reverberated until 2015, when most of the stocks of companies that were more settled started to pick up and be seen to really be resilient. I'm thinking about companies like Intel, Cisco, and Amazon. As we know, Amazon has been reimagined so many times. That is one of the biggest companies through COVID-19. It is therefore important for us as we now reimagine the future within COVID-19. I cannot say post COVID-19 because I believe COVID-19 is going to be a virus that is going to stay with us for quite some time. Its effects are also going to reverberate for quite some time. So it's important for us that we look at it and say, how can we be resilient through this? If we look at the present economic reality, on the 24th of June 2020, Minister of Finance Tito Mboweni delivered his supplementary budget speech. I would just like to quote two paragraphs in his speech that you can either believe or you can agree with. But it is important to analyze that in the context of our economic and investment environment. He said, I quote, "We have many strengths. These include our young and ambitious people, our institution, a robust and vibrant democracy, independent judiciary, and our commitment to social justice progress. And our economic strengths, a diverse industrial base, a flexible exchange rate, stable inflation, and deep domestic capital markets that allow us to borrow mainly in rand." But he also goes further to say, but debt is our weakness. We have accumulated far too much debt. This downturn will add more. This year, out of every rand we pay in tax, 21 cents goes to paying the interest on our bad debts. Members and ladies and gentlemen, that is very scary.
I can hear, but I still think this is a better option. That is unstable. Yeah.
Okay.
So can we still do it?
I think so. Let's just see where they are now. So we'll just check back on the webinar quickly, okay?
Hi, can I continue?
Please continue, Advocate.
Thanks, Tawe. And please call me Tandi. I just feel like I'm going to jump every time and say, yes, my lord.
Please do.
He went on to deal with the global economy focus and stated that the global economic contraction of 5.2% in 2020 will bring about the broadest collapse in per capita income since 1870. I close quotes. But just note that this was 1 year after Inanda Seminary opened its doors. So it's like we are revisiting the past whilst we have to reimagine the future. I had prepared statistics from the World Bank as well as the African Development Bank. But due to time, I'm not going to go through these and rather talk about how these impact on Africa and particularly South Africa. And as we have noted, and I'm sure everybody can feel the contraction of the economy. About 640 million people live without electricity in Africa. And this is almost half, if not just more than half, of the total estimated population of about 1.2 billion people. So that is a lot that we are talking about of people who can hardly access the platforms that we are accessing today. And how can they participate in the fourth industrial revolution? And how can they participate in making sure that they can reimagine the future? Those COVID-19 effects will include, as the AFDB has indicated, about between 173.1 billion and 236.7 billion losses between 2020 and 2021 financial years. It will include an uptick in inflation, except in economies like South Africa, as we have seen a reduction in inflation, where we have been able to counter the effects of COVID-19. It will, we will see an expansion of fiscal spending, which could double the already existing spending that we have seen. And this will lead to high fiscal deficits. As we have seen, it will increase sovereign debt, and particularly in Africa, plunging remittances and foreign direct investments, which a lot of Africans rely on for their GDP. In some countries, it even translates to about 10% of GDP. What are the social economic impacts, briefly? We can see inadequately prepared countries in containing spread of the coronavirus. Between 28.2 to 49.2 million Africans could be pushed into extreme poverty. This is over and above those who are already in extreme poverty. And we are already experiencing and will continue to experience job losses estimated between 25 to 30 million people. What opportunities are there in this very dim, very dark future that we are presenting here? There are opportunities like there were opportunities in 1869. These can be seen in public health responses that we have seen in South Africa in terms of testing, in terms of preparing hospitals and preparing people to make sure that they can avoid being infected. These are not perfect. This will not stop the coronavirus because it doesn't listen to what people say. The fiscal policy responses we have seen with the South African 500 billion rand stimulus package. The monetary policy responses, we have seen it in the South African Reserve Bank. Only during this period, the repo rate has reduced by 300 basis points. The labor market responses, there have been some which have been very dismal relating to the unemployment insurance fund. But we can also look at issues like flexible working solutions. Lastly, we have to look at structural policies. Those that would improve the productive base, hopefully increase productivity and look at reskilling to ensure that we can concentrate on manufacturing and construction, engineering, agro-processing, digital technologies, ICT-based services, and trade logistics. Now I ask you, how do you fit into this emergent future? How can you make sure that you are ready to navigate this reimagined future, both in terms of your own economic environment and your own investment opportunities? As we know, you can either be sitting here as a professional in your career, either in government, a not-for-profit environment, or in the corporate sector. In all these three areas I have mentioned, you have a job to protect. If you lose this job, what are your opportunities? How do you secure the job or be able to be ready for alternative jobs? You have to manage your personal expenses in a situation where the rent is diminishing. You have to create wealth and plan for your legacy. It is therefore important to look at the legal framework, which in the South African context is very strong. However, it is not a panacea for all the challenges that have been brought about by COVID-19. We have to be nimble, we have to be flexible, and we have to be able to flow and move with and take the punches as we go along. Ladies and gentlemen, it's easier said than done. However, I can give you a number of examples where you have to make sure that you shrink to, as they say, you cut the cloth to your own needs. On the other hand, you may be a business owner. You are asking yourself, I'm in the informal sector, I'm in the SMME, or I'm in the what is called the sector that is not even counted. We have seen in South Africa how the informal sector was battered because the regulations that were set up were meant mainly for the formal sector. It is therefore important that we reach out to each other. It is important that you don't sit at home and not think that there are people out there. For instance, I'll give you one of the trusts that I'm involved in, the South African Futures Trust. Some of you will wonder, this trust, where does it come from? How does this link up? And I would invite you to go to saft.org, the site that we have set up, where we used the funds that were donated by the Oppenheimer family, R1 billion, to support small businesses. This we linked up with all the major banks in the country. I think the challenge a lot of people face is the lack of access. And that is why I'm calling on people to make sure that they can try and reach out and find out how they can access these funds. I also talk about the trust that I chair, the Legal Resources Trust, where we have continued in these difficult times to use the law to defend the people that are the most vulnerable. Last week, we won the case in the Western Cape High Court, where, as you may have seen in the news or in the media platforms, how the people of the Western Cape homes were demolished. And the argument that the Legal Resources Center put in place was that the government is not being stopped from demolishing, but it must use the framework of the law to do that. And we argued that the Western Cape government had not used the framework of the law to do that. And that is how the case of those shack dwellers was won. So it is important, and at this point in time, there will be discussions with the government, there will be negotiations, there will be ways in which we try to resolve these issues. Lastly, I would like to talk about the companies that we are involved in. Again, you will see in the news, if I take, for instance, the issue of BP Group, where we have committed to being a zero emission company by 2050. That does mean loss of jobs. But what we're putting in the package is to reskill people to hopefully make sure that they can have alternative ways to coexist and to develop in their own rights. I believe that I have taken quite liberties on the time, but I felt that it is important that we look at these issues and say the law is there. There is no way that we can survive. As it was said, is it health or is it the economy? And I say it's neither or, it is both. And in both instances, we have to use the law to make sure that the rights of the people are protected. We have to use the law to make sure that the economic base of the people is not further eroded. That is why the Minister of Finance, when he stood before Parliament on the 24th of June to present the bills that would support the stimulus, whether that is going to succeed, it is up to all of us to make sure that the sacrifices that are being made now to secure the future of our children will encompass the health of our people as well as their economic rights as our people. So at this point, I'm going to pause to enable us to engage. As I said, I would like to see this as having been a conversation that hopefully will help the participants to support us and to look at themselves and say how can they support to uplift this country as we navigate COVID-19. Thank you.
Advocate Thandi Orlane and Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, I would like to admonish you that this humility that you seek to impose about shortening your CVs does a disservice to the broader, particularly the younger people that are coming up on the stream. Us honoring you and telling people of your achievements, I believe, by and of itself, gives impetus to people to give a baton to, so that what it is that they need to achieve in order to move forward. So please allow me, the program director today, to be able to be expansive. The achievements that you guys, the achievements that people, the achievements that women, the achievements that Black people, the achievements that we attain, we must celebrate. So often we think that people know what the achievements are, that we must be humble about our achievements. But my personal belief is that we do need to inform others about what it is that we have achieved, not because we want to glorify ourselves, not because we want to, but because we need to, in order to inspire the generation that comes after us. Without much further ado, I believe that Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka has now reconnected with us, and I would like to encourage everybody on this chat site to please post their questions, both to Advocate Orlane and to Dr. Phumzile Ngcuka, because there's going to be a Q&A, a question and an answer session once Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka has completed her speech. Now I welcome you, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, back onto the mic.
Thank you very much, Program Director, and I hear you. And let me just check again if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
We can hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for the patience and for reconnecting again. I guess I disconnected after I had thanked you, Inanda Seminary, and the old girls for taking this opportunity to support your school. Something that you need to issue as a challenge to all other schools, all other old girls and boys to go back, because reimagining the future starts there. After COVID, we are calling this building back better. And this is one way of building back better, because historically, we have not been supporting our schools effectively. We are in 2020. We have a challenge of an invisible enemy with a high fertility rates in our society. We have immense grief in our society, and we are facing economic challenges. This is, you can say, was the situation in 1994 when we had to restart the country, the economy, and everything. But at the same time, it is quite different. Because in 1994, yes, we had to build schools, we had to electrify, we had to extend access to healthcare, we had to do public works to create jobs, we had to change laws, etc. But it was not something that was sudden. People were not dying the way they are. Our economy was in a difficult situation, but the world was welcoming of us. It was possible for us to get help, and we had fiscal discipline also at that time. We also had political credibility that is much better than what we have now. We had a highly motivated public service and idealistic. And I think right now we are in a truly difficult space. And I think Thandi has highlighted some of the challenges. And in order for us to make headway, it is therefore very important to do everything to enable new entrants into the economy and to help those who were already participating in the economy to make a re-entry. We have squandered some of our economic opportunities as a country through, for instance, through the anti-competitive effect of state-owned enterprises that were run inefficiently, corrupt, and have eliminated the possibility for competition that would help us to move further. We also have been not as focused on addressing this fourth industrial revolution we are talking about today. We have an anti-competitive environment in mobile broadband market, combined with lack of suitable spectrum for mobile broadband networks, and this has resulted in high data prices and poor quality broadband. Most countries that has an enabling environment for the technology sector have seen people standing on their own, creating their own job. So for us, this is something that we still have to do. Only 56% of South Africans had internet access in 2017. And this was basically due in the main because of the cost of data. So as we have been looking at the impact of this crisis holistically, we also had to reckon with the fact that no pandemic is gender neutral. And this one has not been different. It has hit women in a different way and much harder. At UN Women, not in South Africa and globally, some of the areas that we have been highlighting as hitting the women in a most significant way, especially the gender-based violence and domestic violence in particular. There, we have a need to both prevent and to deal and to provide services to women who are affected by violence. We have pushed the countries to make the services needed by women who are affected by violence essential services so that women can have access whenever they need them. But we've also noticed, as we've been following up, the inadequacy of these services and the continued underfunding that we have been fighting for. South Africa made these essential services unrestricted, but there is no doubt that we do not have enough because the rate and the depth of violence against women, femicide, abuse against children is such that much more is needed. In education around the world, we have also been concerned about the fact that so many children were out of school, and those who were able to continue with education, as the principal was saying, were those who had access to digital infrastructure, who could continue with online education. And in many of the schools in poor countries, including poor schools in our countries, teachers have no experience of virtual teaching. The impact of that is that one of the gains that we won after Beijing, and we have been increasingly getting better in access to education for girls, is now at high risk and is being reversed. And I think this is something in this audience we have to fight for, we have to defend with everything we have. And one way of doing this is ensuring that there's access to digital infrastructure, digital teaching readiness for all the teachers in all the schools. Also, in many countries, as a result of the disturbances in the school, we have seen a much larger number of girls becoming pregnant because they have been at home, in some cases with no caregivers. We've also seen the rate of trafficking of girls increase, and we've also seen child marriage increase. These are areas where we have been making gains because, for instance, in child marriage, we have worked very hard to increase the age of marriage in most countries of the world. In Africa, we're only left with 11 countries. And we have been seeing the efforts that the government, the civil society, many institutions are making to address child marriage. In this short time of the 4 months of lockdown in many countries, we have been hit hard when it comes to child marriage. And child marriage leads to poverty for women and their offsprings. Of course, we have also seen the gains lost in women's health, which is another area in the last 2 decades many governments have made progress, including South Africa. And this has been especially in the access to reproductive health services. And in some of the countries, the services have been provided digitally in these times of hardships, and increasingly countries were looking at different ways in which governments could provide health services and reach communities to provide and promote primary health care through digital means. So again, the 4th industrial revolution is critical for education, It's critical for keeping girls at school. It's critical for us to have a healthy nation. We have also seen in violence against women in many countries that have opted to use technology to whistleblow, as well as to ensure and facilitate bringing services to the rescue whenever they have been needed. From pharmacists who became part of a chain that is able to detect signs of violence when a woman was able to come to a pharmacy, which was one of the few places women could go to during a crisis. So again, a classical example of something that is key for women. Our economy has also been battered. Both the large and the small industries have faced hardships. But I think we are facing a particular challenge for small business, which again have been addressed, so I won't go back there. So to the extent that fiscal stimulus and interventions are being offered, our responsibility in this audience is to make sure that people are able to go to where the services are. UN Women, with many other organizations, have seen how much some of the services are not reaching the targeted persons, certainly women in the informal sector. Again, this is not what we see as UN Women in South Africa. We've seen it in different parts of the country. It takes us using our collective organization, our influence, our understanding of the policy environment to facilitate access in order to make sure that women have got indeed access to these services. Because, again, as Tanji said, the fiscal space for the country is going to close. There just won't be enough money for many things. Certainly women will be hard hit. It is important that women do not miss out and lose out at this point. We have also seen globally the challenge of the increase of unpaid care. Unpaid care is already something that is shouldered by women in all countries. They are the ones that provide the care at home. In the case of Corona, they are providing care services because people who are sick are at home and they depend on women. They depend on girl children. We have also seen in many countries that the unpaid care has increased on women because homeschooling in many families has fallen on women. But again, to those of us who are working for the formal sector, who are in decision making, who can influence HR, it is important for us to fight for policies that close this gap. Parental leave that is mandatory for both men and women is critical. Building infrastructure for early childhood that is accessible and affordable, which also creates jobs, is critical for reducing unpaid care for women, and that too enable women to enter the economy. So I just want to, so that we can have time to converse, summarize my key message. Digital infrastructure, the fourth industrial revolution, is needed. It is going to be the dividing factor. Those who have it will be able to move forward with their lives. And for those who do not have it, they will be pushed back to poverty. And for girls and for women, this is a major disaster because they will not be able to be part of the new economy. Leadership is critical because many of you, I think, are in jobs where you exercise leadership. Your voices in the boardrooms are needed. Your companies need the policies on gender-based violence and sexual harassment that is transparent and that works so that people can believe in it, because we have to fight this scourge of the shadow pandemic of violence against women everywhere. And we need to make sure that in the boardroom we fight against gender-based violence. We also need to make sure that we monitor the access to the services that are being provided by government. We volunteer, we use our influence in order to make sure that we do not wake up one day and all the resources that would have helped women have been squandered and women have not been able to benefit. And again, the fourth industrial revolution is critical for that. The issue of broadband in South Africa, access to spectrum, all these policies that are making data to be so expensive have to be solved. All of these decisions are in our hands, and we need to organize ourselves to confront government about closing this gap, because if we don't, the future of our girls' education is at stake. Thank you. Over.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mlambo Ngcuka. I hope you'll be with us for a little while, as I am now expecting to receive whatever questions that might have arisen from your talk.
Yes,
Corne.
Madam Moderator.
Corne,
Yes, Program Director.
have you received any Q&As?
There was only one question, and if you click on the chat tab, you would see it, and it is from Tanwin Kambule. If you want, and I'm not sure if that was directed to any one person. Do you see the question?
Absolutely, I see the question. Dr. Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka, there is a young girl child here. She says, in the last 26 years, there's been significant progress in bringing infrastructure to all South Africans, i.e. access to water and sanitation, electricity, and data and cellular telephony. However, the thing that I think is holding us back, having our country's progress at an even faster pace, is corruption. How can we minimize corruption?
Thank you for that question. I mean, it is true that a lot has been done. I think we cannot dispute that, but maybe our best is not good enough, because as we have seen in Corona, there are so many communities that are still underserved. I think the good thing about Corona, because we cannot waste a good crisis, we have to seize the opportunity, because now Corona has shown us where the deficiencies are, and that is an opportunity for us to go directly to the problem and fix these problems where we still have the shortage of water, where we still don't have infrastructure, and deal with it. It is also true that in some of the areas that have been underserviced, it is not because there has not been money and resources to do this work. The money has not been used properly because of corruption. So where you do not have water, and the girl, children, and women have to fetch water, even though there should be money for clean water in the house, women and girls substitute for the state and carry the burden because someone else has pocketed the money. We have to speak loud and engage in these things. We have a unique moment in South Africa today where right now, where people are so outraged by corruption. We have been waiting for so long for this to happen. So this is the time to call corruption by its name and never to stop until we have fixed it, and to demand action where the perpetrators of corruption have been identified. It should not be that we have so much corruption and we cannot find the perpetrators and the culprits, and we cannot see the wheels of justice turning. So we are citizens, and I like that young people are so strong on these issues. Let us direct our anger to the right places, demand action, and assist also to find corrective measures so that we are not just critics, we are also assisting. Thank you.
Absolutely. Can I now use the discretion that is normally given a director of programs to read some of the comments that have come up? Because I believe that you deserve to hear them. Dr. Mpumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka. Unonhle Chiki says, thank you, Dr. Phumzile. In your hands, the fight for the girl child, the girl child's rights is safe. Soldier on. We will also do our best to assist. And then Ms. Gugu Kumalo says, thank you, Dr. Phumzile, for the inspiring presentation. And Tiny Eboka says, thank you very much for honoring the Inanda Seminary Alumni Program. You and your message on women and technology, how this population continue to be underserved despite the policies and resources in the country. What is more sure thing we as the Inanda alumni can do beyond what we are doing is amplify the needs of the many women. Cornell, you keep on moving these things as I'm reading them.
Sorry, no, I'm not moving. Comments
we,
coming in, so that's what's happening.
No, that's problem. So Tiny keeps on saying, what the sure thing is that we as the Inanda we are going to amplify the needs of the many women without the platforms that we have. So there is an awful lot of reaction that is coming from the people that are listening. Tutula Balfour says, thank you, Sis Phumzile. You are so right in assessing, in your assessment of what is important. Recent research on the impact on COVID showed that more than 80% of the people from the suburb could work from home, while 5% of those from townships could not do so. This inequality should be eliminated for all of us to gain from the fourth industrial revolution. And Nom Tikhadebe says, thank you, Dr. Phumzile, for an amazing speech. And Tandi Orlane says, thank you, Dr. Phumzile Lambo, an inspiring speech. And Sibyl Sioka says, Gender-Based Violence Command Center, GBV callers, can be located anywhere in the country using the GPRS. And Oliswa Kakana says, Tawe, do you know if these speeches are recorded? Corne, can you give us an answer?
Yes, they are recorded.
Oliswa, they are recorded. And then we have here Vuyokazi Makapela, who says, thank you so much, Advocate Tandi Orlane, for highlighting the challenges we are facing and perhaps things we can do to help change, shape the future for the next generation. Thank you for your contribution in fighting for human rights. Kanye Mahlare says, you have showed us today that all rights are to be respected. Caroline Matigizela joins me in congratulating Unosisa Mfanyela. Nosisa Mfanyela said that she is happy to drink to the well of wisdom that we have given her today, since 36 years ago, she attempted to be a member of the Inanda how was not admitted. And Caroline says, no, Sisa, you are now a member of the Friends of the Inanda Club. It will be formally launched in 2020. In the meantime, send us your details so that we can put you in. All I can then say, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, that you have indeed been an incredible inspiration to women in South Africa and abroad. First, by occupying the elevated position that you have at the United Nations. And even before you went to the United Nations, by the way, you were the deputy president here in the country. And therefore, the inspiration and why I admonished you and Tand and Advocate Orlane is that it is important for the generation that comes after you to know what steps you have taken in order to arrive at the position that you have. And so without much further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say that today has been an inspirational At this particular point in time, Advocate Thandi Orlane would like to come on stream so that she can add and respond to the comments that she has been given. Are you there, Advocate Orlane?
Advocate Mahlat. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for the comments. And that question, there's one particular question I would like to respond to. But before I do that, I also want to respond to the question around corruption.
Yes.
I think what has got to be very clear in our own minds is that there's a corruptor and a corruptee, and there's also people who abet and support. If we take the issue of the Department of Health in Gauteng, there are people who were given tenders, but there were people who were giving them tenders. And people will point at politicians, rightly so. But there are also administrators, people working, and either by coercion, fear, or voluntarily, they are also part of that because they sign, no politician transfers funds. No politician is able to do that in terms of the PFMA. So we have to look at the root causes. We have to deal with it. That is the one area. So it is up to all of us. The second area that is also, we will always address these issues to the president. But at the same time, we acknowledge the separation of powers. So we have to look at all the areas. And Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka has said, there has been hollowing of institutions. I was one of the panel members to appoint to recommend, to interview and recommend the SARS commissioner. And the work that we did, it was amazing for me, looking behind the camera, as it were, to see how these institutions have been followed out. When I read the various reports of the various commissions of inquiry, it became very clear that either people supported these by being silent, or they actively supported or passively supported. So each and every one of us have got to ask what role we play, but more particularly in how we support politicians when we go and vote. And thereafter, we do not hold them responsible or hold them to account. So it's important that we don't say that we are not politicians. It's true we are not politicians, but we do make them accountable to us. So that is what I wanted to say, and I would like that people to reflect on those issues. The second question that has been put to me by Tozana Makiza relates to the economies I have mentioned. And the question is, how were these sectors determined? Were they identified with China and Silicon Valley existence in mind? I don't know what was in mind, but what I know is that as we imagine the future, you look at what works. I remember when I was at the CCMA, I was at the CCMA in the last century and moving on to this century. And we had what was called Y2K. And this is the time of the, as we know, the dot-com bubble. And there was a lot of work that we needed to do because we were informed that most probably everything is going to crash. Now, was that a conspiracy theory? I cannot say. But what I can say is that we spent a lot of money. We spent sleepless nights trying to make sure at the CCMA that our new systems that were the bedrock of the case management system that still operates today should not crash. And therefore, I'm not asking myself whether there is a conspiracy with China and America. What I'm saying is what I'm seeing in the markets. What stocks are going well? What jobs are being advertised more? What economies are being advanced through what policies they adopt in relation to these issues? And I would ask you to look at the economy of Rwanda. Rwanda is a very small country, but you have to look at what is being done in Rwanda to develop that economy based on digital as well as on technology. So my approach is what is the problem, what is the solution, and I will leave the theory on other people to determine what is the basis for that. I trust that I've engaged with the question appropriately. Thank you.
Advocate Orline, sorry, Program Director, I just quickly want to ask, your microphone is rubbing against your jacket, so we have a disturbance in the sound. Program Director, do you see that there's a couple of questions? Can I maybe just help you to pose them for Advocate Orline? Do you see the questions?
Corne, please go ahead, but be mindful of the fact that we are running woefully behind time.
So just two questions. Just two questions. The one is from Tina Iboka, and she asks, what is the one sure thing we as Inanda alumni can do beyond what we are doing to amplify the needs of many women without the platforms that we have?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Some of the things we're doing, we are not publishing enough. Some of the things we're doing, we're not opening up to this kind of platforms enough. And I believe having started, we have to open it up to these platforms. We have to reach out more. As we know as members, Dr. Nohle Chigi is advocating farming and agro-processing. And we see the work. I see it in our WhatsApp group. I don't know how many people out there know about that. I could mention a lot of other members, but due to time, I'm not going to go through that. But it's important that we give access. The main problem we have in the country is that people cannot access. I know every time I speak in public, I get inundated with requests because people are starved of access and being able to understand how they can navigate these complex environments that we as Inanda girls are able to navigate so easily.
Thank you, Advocate. Last question then, absolute last question, and then we can move on with the program. And this is from Nozizwe Maneli. How do we make our communities to realize that we should not destroy what we have and have been fighting for injustice? We need to protect our infrastructure so we can move forward as a country. How do we make our girls and our women conscious of this?
Briefly, when we don't make our people our partners, we make them children we do things for them, they don't take accountability. They don't appreciate. And also there may be resentment, there may be anger. Therefore, it is important that we make our communities part of the determining of the solution. And that is what I found when I was practicing at the Legal Resources Center. And my practice consisted of land issues, employment issues, as well as consumer rights issues. And I found that the communities I worked with were always happy to be part of the solution rather than to be provided. And I'm finding that from government to sometimes business, in BE companies where we form trusts for communities, but we haven't talked to the communities about these trusts. When we fix schools, we have not brought the parents, the communities to be part of that fixing of the schools. So it's those simple things that I believe we need to look at to make them part of the solution rather than to be passive recipients of the solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Summarize.
Over to you, Program Director.
Thank you, Corne. I will now summarize. There are some pertinent comments that I think need to go in the closure of this segment. Petiwe Matutu says, many thanks, Dr. Koyana and team, for organizing this insightful and informative event. Certainly count me in on anything to do with the education and development of girl children. I will join the club of the Friends of Inanda Seminary as always. Dr. Mlambo Ncuka clearly sets out the state of our country and its setbacks due to COVID-19 and what needs to be done. And then, in conclusion, I would like to talk to the one that was posted by Louisa Zondo. Is it Advocate Zondo? I suspect that it might be. She says, I agree with both Mayor Orlane and Mlambo Ncuka when they emphasize that we see the power of COVID-19 pandemic to catalyze the change we want to see in society, or use the technology to connect with each other, even across the globe, must be the way to our future. We should focus more on building cultures of love and caring for each other. And I think that that is an appropriate place for us to end. And now we must unfortunately proceed with the program. And I would at this point like to introduce Sanelisiwe Mbambo. Sanelisiwe Mbambo is, her CV reads thus: I started my fitness journey in school, competing in athletics, netball, football, softball, and rugby. When I started playing contact rugby, I realized that I needed to get fit and started working at Virgin Active as a receptionist so that I could use my lunch breaks to train. I trained hard and dirty to get where I am today. That's where I created a community. Ladies and gentlemen, Sanelisiwe Mbambo has 100,000 people strong in her chat site called Get Fit with Sani. Please join me in congratulating Sanele as she clearly continues to shine, and urge all members and our entire guests to join her in the Get Fit Sane. You know, I'm 63 years old and I have developed my tummy fat and my thunder thighs, and I am sure the majority of all of us can really gain some sort of health dividend by joining Sane. Today, she will be speaking to us about the health and fitness in the light of COVID-19 pandemic, its impact on women in South Africa. Now we invite Sane to please take the mic.
Program Director, it's Corne again. I am not 100% sure that Sani is online. If she is, she can just turn her camera on, but I don't think she is online with us at this stage. And perhaps if she is not, we have a song that we can play by Lichli again while we try to connect with Sani, if that's okay with you.
Shall we do so? And then we'll go to the auction if she's not available.
Perfect. Let's quickly have an entertainment break by Lichli.
Thank you.
Oh na na, oh na na, oh na na, yeah. Oh na na, oh na na, oh na na, yeah. Oh na na, oh na na, oh na na, yeah. I didn't mean to end this life. I know it wasn't right. I can't even sleep at night to get it off my mind. I need you to get out of sight, but I end up behind bars. What started out as a simple altercation turned into a really sticky situation. Me just thinking on the time that I'm facing makes me wanna cry. Yeah, yeah. 'Cause I didn't mean to hurt him. Could have been somebody's son. And I took his highway. I pulled out that gun. Rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum. Man down, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pa. Oh mama, 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 I just shot a man down in Central Station. In front of a big old yeah, mama, 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 I just shot a man down. It's a 22, I call her Baby Sue, and she fits right down in my shoe. What you expect me to do if you're playing me for a fool? I will lose my cool and reach for my firearm. I didn't mean to lay him down, but it's too late to turn back now. Don't know what I was thinking, now he's no longer living, so I'm about to leave town. Hey, 'cause I didn't mean to hurt him. Could have been somebody's son. And I took his highway. I pulled out that gun. Rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pa. Man down, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pa. Hey mama, 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 I just shot a man down in Central Station. In front of a big old crowd. Yeah, mama, 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 I just shot a man down. What do you mean now? Said I never thought I'd do it. Never thought I'd do it. Never thought I'd do it. Oh gosh, whatever happened to me? Ever happened to me? Ever happened to me? Why did I pull the trigger, pull the trigger, pull the trigger? And ending, I so soon when me pull the trigger, pulled it on you. Somebody tell me what I'm gonna do. Hey, ram pa pa pam, ram pa pa pam, ram pa pa pam. It's a woman down. And when me say ram pa pa pam, ram pa pa pam, ram pa pa pam, me went downtown. Just now I am a criminal, criminal, criminal. Oh Lord have mercy, now I am a criminal. Man down, tell the judge please give me minimal. Run out of town, another down, come seminar. Oh, mama, 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 I just shot a man down in Central Station.
Hi, Program Director. I think Sonny is online with us.
I am online. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sane, welcome, please. I could for a while.
I'm so sorry, guys. Ndombi was still trying to send me the link. I'm so sorry for that.
Don't apologize, Sane. Just get on with it.
Okay, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this amazing webinar. Without wasting any time, today I'll be talking about the importance of health and fitness. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you. You can continue talking.
Okay,
Sane, I can assure you that I have already read your short CV.
Okay.
Where you said that you started your fitness journey in school.
Oh, yes, I did. I was actually online. But can I just correct you? I've got 151,000 followers now.
Yeah! 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 Even better. Go ahead.
Even better. Mm-hmm. So, as we all know that regular exercise and physical activity does not only promote strong muscles and bones, but it also improves respiratory, cardiovascular health, and overall health. Now,
and mental health, Sane.
Yes, and mental. I was actually getting there, but thank you. and active health. And now staying healthy has really helped during COVID-19. I'm sure everyone could see that everyone was taking care of their bodies. But in terms of us, the personal trainers, it hasn't been well. Especially for me, because I do house calls. Now, I lost a lot of my clients because they couldn't obviously pay. But I did focus on my virtual trainings. I need you guys to see me because I'm going to give you a few tips on what to do at home. No, my camera is not on. Guys, I need a, oh, there we go.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So I'm just gonna, I want to help you guys with some exercises that you can do at home at your own space. Okay. Can everyone see me?
We can. I can.
Can we get a thumbs up in the chat box? Okay. So I know our okay. So if you are just working on your legs, I'll give you about 3 exercises for legs, 3 exercises for your bum, and about 5 exercises that you can do for tummy fat. I know everyone suffers from tummy fat. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are working on your legs, simple exercise is you can do your squats. So when you squat, you need to make sure, okay, let me put this here. When you squat, you need to make sure that your knees don't go over your toes, right? So you go down like this. Don't lean forward, because when you lean forward, your knee is gonna go over your toes, right? So this is how you do your normal squats. Now squats help with your legs and obviously your buttocks, right? And then the next exercise that you can do without weight is your lunges. When you lunge, you also need to make sure that your knee doesn't go over your toes, right? So there's standing lunges, which is what I'm doing now, or you can do your walking lunges, right? Can everyone see me?
We can see you, Sonny.
Okay.
That looks like a push-up position.
No. We are on a push-up position, but we're not doing push-ups.
Then it's leg raises.
No, it's not leg raises.
Don't torture us then.
It's donkey kicks, right?
Donkey kicks. I know it would be torturous.
No, it's not.
It burns, but it burns.
For your bum.
It does. It's really, really effective. I have to agree with you.
So this is what you do. Or you can do this. You can do this, right? Now, when you do this, you must make sure that you squeeze your glutes, right? So when you do this, you can see that my glute is squeezed. Right. Now let's get to...
Sonia, I just have to say that I don't know about the other people, but my glutes do not look like your glutes. So even if I squeeze them, they are not that tight, but I will give it a good go.
Listen, give it a go. Do it for 4 weeks and then let me know.
Yep. Okay.
You follow me on Instagram. Every Monday I do legs. And yes, and I do post. I also have a YouTube channel, but I'm not that active because YouTube is a bit of a stress. You need to edit and. So, okay. Now, guys, I'll show you how to kill this.
No more chicken licking.
Yeah, please stop eating chicken licking and stop feeding members unhealthy food. Woo, I remember when I was a member. My goodness. Thank God I used to play sports, so I didn't gain any weight. Right? Okay, let's get right into it. So we're doing toe touches. So your legs are up, you come up. Now when you touch your toes, you must make sure that your core is tight, right? So you can do that 3 times and do 15 reps, okay? Then you can do your normal crunches, which is this. Can everyone see me?
We can see you very well, and I am sweating on your behalf.
Oh, you're sweating on my behalf. Okay, so come up like this. Make sure your core is tight. Again, you can do that. You can do 3 sets of 15 reps. Okay? Then this one, everyone hates it. The plank.
The longest minute of your life is a plank minute.
Can I tell you something? I can plank for 3 minutes.
No, thank you.
Right? I'm trying to give you, I hope you guys are taking notes because these exercises will really help you. Okay? So you plank and then side plank as well. So we don't want the love handles. Side plank, each side. And then for your arms, you can do push-ups.
Oh, but show them the sissy push-ups, the lady push-up. Let them start small girls, Sani, small girls. Otherwise, they're not gonna, so let them do the lady push-ups first, and then we can go to full push-ups. And Sasana, the person who created planks is the same person who created a burpee.
So lady push-ups, like
And
this.
Small goals, reachable goals. There we go.
There we go. Right. Then we're still doing for upper body. You can do shoulder taps.
Ooh, that hurts as well. But that is some of the best exercises for upper body strength, for nice arms, for nice shoulders, wearing those strapless shirts. Best exercises.
Well, so like this. Then I'm sure you guys are gonna hate this one, but it really helps.
So you're gonna go as long as you don't go burpee. What do you call those? Up downs.
Up downs, or we call them plank ups.
Oh, tough. They are tough. They are very tough. But those are good for your core and for those nice muscles on the side of your tummy, for your obliques. Gorgeous exercise for that, John.
Yes, they are. So I just wanted to.
So it seems like everybody enjoyed watching you. Nobody did it with you, though.
Oh, wow, guys. So I did it all by myself.
So I think we need to start wrapping up, Sani. So I'm going to give over back to the program director.
Okay, that's fine. Back to you, program director.
Sane,
yes.
Thank you so much.
Some of those exercises with Sani, program director.
Sane, please tell the viewers and the members today how they can follow you.
They can follow me on Instagram at GetFit with Seminary. I'm trying to see if I can. Yes, I'm going to write it down.
You could just type it in the comment box and people can copy it from there. Thanks, Sani.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. Pardon?
Thank you very much. And Corne, you will send it to absolutely everybody. And people can then join Sane. As we have already indicated, I said she had 100,000 followers, and I was mistaken. Her followers are at 150,000. Then clearly there's something that you're doing right. And please join her. We'd encourage all the other members to join her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have come, ladies and gentlemen, to the auction and the pledges segment, the core of what we are about in terms of trying to get as many people to contribute to our pledges and donations. I would like to announce that there has been a silent auction that has been going on since about 12 o'clock this morning. And this silent auction is not going to end until the 2nd of September. Please check out our silent auction. We have 26 items that you can bid on. And if you will allow me, I would like to mention now what those items are. There is a Battle of Isandlwane photographic print, and the bidding price starts at about 50,000. Number 2, we have handmade Xhosa matrons with beaded traditional garb. The height is 55 to 60 centimeters, and the starting price is 1,350. And you are having these items being flipped on the screen. And number 3, we've got a pepperthorn mobile spa and wellness voucher for 2. And the starting bidding price for this is 800 Rand. Come on, guys, with partners. Come on, guys, with partners. Oh, no, it has moved from 800 to 1,000. If you've got a future husband and a lover, you can take them to this spa for only 1,000 Rand or more. And then we've got a salt and pepper hydromist PPE package, and the starting bidding price is a hamper. You can see it on the screen. It starts at 1,000 Rand, but clearly we would like people to compete for it so that they can pay a little bit more than 1,000. And then number 5, we've got a salt and pepper website design and revamp. The starting price of this is 3,800. It's a gift voucher. And number 6, we've got Amalanga Creations and Events. The bidding price for this starts at 3,400. It's a unique decor experience event for 15 people based in Johannesburg and surrounding areas. Number 7, we've got, wow, the Cream Restaurants. Has anyone been to the Cream Restaurant? Because I have been, and their food is really mouth-watering. And the starting bidding price there is only 300 Rands, guys, in Pretoria and Midrand. And they've got locations in Brooklyn Mall, Africa Mall. Come on, let's get this one taken. And you can now go there for only 300 Rands and go and have an absolutely fabulous meal. The next bidding item that we have is the Alla Turca restaurant. And this one, members, starts at 200 Rand. Come on. There's a voucher for 200 Rand here. Let's just get this one done. And then number 8, we've got the Bordo Bella Beauty Eyelash Extension voucher in Pretoria. And you can have all the eyelashes you actually ever wish for, being professionally attached to your eyelids at only 400 Rands. And then the number 10 item that we have is an Algo book called The Future. Ladies and gentlemen, this book has actually been signed by the author, and the starting bidding price is only at 360 Rand. Come on, let's buy this. We also have another signed copy by Mteto Nyati. And the title of this book is called Betting on a Darkie. I can assure you, because I have read this book personally, that you will really, really enjoy reading it. It's been written in a really user-friendly environment, and Mteto, as always, has got a lot of insightful insights to give to whoever is to read his book. And then now we've got Hubert and Rothschild wine. Wow, 1.5 liters, and the bidding price for this is a 2017 vintage. I'm told that was a good year for wine, and it starts at a bidding price of 450 Rand. Oh, take a look at the next one. It's a cutie Mahle bag. And the starting price is 300 Rand. I tell you, if I had a little girl, if my 22-year-old was now maybe 5 or 6, this I would grab. Isn't she cute? The bidding price is only 300 Rands. You can double it at 600. Can you imagine taking your daughter to school every day in this bag? And she's looking so beautiful and cute. It's called the Mahle bag, and it starts at 300 Rand. Wow. Emangweni overview of the oil and gas industry value chain capacity building training. Wow. This one is a capacity building training proposition. And they're saying that the starting bidding price is 1,950. Imagine if you're able to do that and then you were able to ensnare perhaps a bid, perhaps a contractual arrangement. Here's an opportunity that all those people that want to enter the oil and gas industry must definitely participate in. Then item number 16. Wow. This one is called mindfulness. I am told that mindfulness is the absolute art of being conscious of everything that goes on. It's a technical master classes with jazz, and the starting bidding price is at 1,950. So all those people that want to get into jazz must absolutely attend it. There you go, my ever absolute favorite virtual yoga sessions. And the bidding price here is at an affordable 180 rands. Come on, guys, let's go and buy this book. And then next, there we go. There's a gift voucher for the Ngwane natural skincare products. I don't have to say more about this. All you need to do is to actually just participate in it. Then the next one is the Adidas. Please flip back, Corne. The Adidas new Alpha Bounce women's sizes, starting the bidding price is 1,000 rand. Wow, there's your Gucci bag, girls. It's only a 10,000 rand. It's a fraction of what Gucci bags actually cost. The next one is a Michael Kors bag. Corner flip. There you go. There's a Michael Kors bag at 2,500. Where have you ever heard of such a price? Come on, let's get it on, guys. Let's just buy it. And then this one at 4,000 is a Furla formal bag. Anytime you walk into a business proposition with this bag, I'm sure you'd be able to bag the contract. Come on, guys. And then there's the Russell and Bromley one. 800 rands. Maybe I should bid for this myself. It is within my price range. And then there are the Jade therapeutic products. Come on, guys. This is only 350 rands. Let's do this. This I would like to buy the next one. The 5X Feel Good t-shirts from La Jove Creations at 450 rands. I'm sure that has now been bidded and sold. And then, who is Roundy's Fashions? Yes, Roundy's Fashions is here in your traditional outfit. Let me tell you that at 4,000, that whole piece, I don't know how many pieces there are, is really quite cheap. I recall that how to we've got a question, Corne. Hello, Corne.
Yes, program director.
We've got a question here from Sibusiso Khanyako, who is saying, how do we bid?
So I think Caroline earlier posted a link to the bid form on Google Forms. So I would like to ask Caroline if she could just share that link again, where people can go and view the items. Then you just click on that little link in Google Forms where you can place your bids. And if I'm correct, I think the bids will be open until the 2nd of September, which is Tuesday. So you have some time left to go and bid on these items until it closes on Tuesday.
But what I think we ought to do, you see that Sibusiso Khanyako, the one who's asking how do we bid, can we
Yes.
respond to him privately and specifically so that we do not lose him?
We can do that, but I think it'll be valuable if we post it to everybody online so that everybody knows what the bid process is. Then Nomti just posted it, and you can just click on that link to bid Siposiso, and everybody in the room can actually see that as well.
Thank you very much. And then let's now go on. That's why item number 26. Let's go to item number 27. Are we done?
This is the last item on the list. Yeah.
That's the last item on the list.
Yes.
And then I would also like to make this announcement that in the month of August, it's an announcement about the contributions that the different ISA alumni have done. So they say that in the month of August, we have seen the class of 80. The alumni in the class of 80 must be congratulated because they brought in 200,000 as a donation. And then the class of 90 collected 10,000 rand. A former member, an alumni wishing to remain anonymous has pledged 10,000 rand. And excuse me, the former anonymous member has pledged $10,000 to our alumni association. And may I just say thank you, and thank you so much for that contribution. We continue to encourage all the alumni of Inanda Seminary that have got the ability to contribute to please assist us in getting as much donations as we can. As you all very well know, everybody that gives a donation at Inanda can get the SARS IR so that they can claim the donations in terms of their allocations of SARS. Now, at this particular point in time, I would like to invite onto the stage the chairperson of the Board of Governors. She now calls herself Gugu Khumalo, but when I was at school, I remember calling her Catherine. I will forever, Catherine, try to remember that you are now Gugu Khumalo. And I congratulate you for having attained the position of the Board of Governors of Inanda Seminary. We look to your leadership.
Ms. Kamala, if you can maybe just switch on your microphone and your camera and join us on stage.
Okay.
We can hear you. So right next to the microphone, right at the top of your screen, to the left, you'll see there's a little camera, not the red one. Right on the left side, it says turn video on.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Top of your screen at the left side, most left.
Trying to go back. Okay. And so, top of the screen on the left.
It says turn video on. So on the left side, on the top of the screen.
Oh, great.
There you go. We can see you. Enjoy your webinar. Enjoy your talk.
Okay. We are being naughty. Those days we used to mark the Form 1s for that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, members, for this occasion. It is still very mind-boggling to me to actually think of it as being a fundraiser and the first time fundraiser of this kind. I will start first by thanking Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, our esteemed guest of honor. also to thank, though she said she feels like she'll say, yes, Your Honor, Advocate Thandi Orley, Miss Sanem Mambo, and then to you, Program Director members, friends, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocol observed, as they say. Wow, what a day. I'm sure we all have just goosebumps thinking about this day today. We never envisaged that it was going to be like this. It has just gone beyond all our expectations. And being the first one of its kind, you just raised the bar very, very high to the oncoming fundraising committees and oncoming chairpersons of ISA, etc. So thank you very much for this. I feel very honored as well to be given this platform. I'll first start by thanking Sis Phumzile, if you'll allow me to say Sis Phumzile, Dr. Phumzile. And it is quite amazing that usually they'll say these energies have a way of connecting to one another. And though I haven't connected directly with you, but I'm so much in connection with your mom, Umlambo Ngcuka. Even had a wonderful time of being hosted in one of her lunches at her home in New Germany, because we do some work together in other organizations like Umtande as well as St. Clement's Home-Based Care. So at one stage, she was actually receiving your call at one stage while we were together. So it's so amazing that these energies tend to always reconnect in one way or another. But this is your day, Sis Phumzile. You have raised the bar to us as South African Black women. You have been our one and only and our first Black deputy president, and we are so proud of it. As women, you have shown us that everything is possible. There is nothing impossible. And now you also sit at the highest organization in the planet, the United Nations. And on top of it all, you still also make time, despite your busy schedule, to address us. And we see ourselves as tiny little dots there when you are viewing what you do in the whole world globally. But thank you so much. This shows us where your heart is with us women, is with us, even no matter how small we might be, but you are with us. We're eternally grateful also, though we are recognizing our effort to support our school, although you were actually our rival school, as you put it, but you are humble enough to recognize us as well. You have given us so much information and not to be discouraged. And we have taken us back to 1994, how the country was imagined then. And at that time, we have indicated that we had the support of the whole world, and we have the credibility of all our stakeholders in the country, be it political or otherwise. It was much easier then than it is at the moment, because we're at a very different period, as we had put it. And with that, we have actually touched upon such important issues like the internet access being our challenge. And we have also indicated how we as women are also much affected by the status quo of what is happening at the moment. Your gender-based violence, the access to education, the trafficking of girls, the early pregnancies, the child marriages, the women's health and the reproductive health. And to crown it all, our challenges in the 4IR, as this could help us as women to actually work against all these other challenges that we have indicated above. But still, the 4IR is still such a big challenge to us, as we have indicated. We have also shown that we should not just think about ourselves as women and girls, but that the positions that we hold should help others to also navigate their challenges wherever they are. You have indicated that in our boardrooms or in our positions of leadership, we should be able to fight the cause of women and girls. And you are an example to us because you are doing exactly that. Thank you so much for those words of wisdom, Dr. Phumzile Ngcuka. You have actually shown us that everything is possible. Now to our member, Utandi Orley, what an engaging presentation. You are so exemplary in your tireless participation in our school activities. I'm not sure how many of us are aware that Utandi is also a chairman of our trust, which is called ISOGA Developmental Trust. And this is the one for the school. And she has been able to be part of this and to chair this besides her very, very busy schedule. We have actually heard about her CV, how extensive it is and how many other boards she's actually running. She's very, very exemplary to us for that. In your presentation, you took us back to Ma Edwards' time and the future imagined at that time in 1869, especially for Black women. When Ma Edwards came to open up Inanda Seminary with only 19 girls at that time, and all those girls were being prepared to be good housewives to their husbands, who at that time were being trained as preachers at Adams College. But nobody envisaged at that time that we are going to end up being the women we are today. So the future imagined in 1869 is not the future imagined now. They had different challenges, as we had indicated. There were various squabbles and wars that were going on at that time. And you can imagine being a woman in school, it was not something that was acceptable in the community at large at that period. But still, at that period, Ma Edwards and her team managed to go through that period. You have taken us to the future, which is now. And we've showed us the dot-com era and the dot-com economic collapse and its resurrection, that happening from 2008 until 2012. And you have painted the status quo of our country's economy and how we can navigate this. You have made us look beyond the jobs, the positions or companies we hold by being nimble, to quote your words, being nimble, taking punches and still move forward and cutting the cloth to fit our own individual needs. So in all this, we must have learned quite a lot from you. You have told us that we should also reach out to the individuals and not to be discouraged as we navigate this era. And these are the same words that also Mrs. Phumzile has actually indicated, that we should not just live for ourselves, we should also be thinking of the others. Which reminds me also, since it's Women's Month, of Mamu Charlotte Manya Matlere, who said in her quote, her famous quote was, "When you rise, make sure you take someone with you in that rise." So you have just also stipulated again and again that as individuals, when we rise, we must also take somebody with us as we come up. Well, Sane, Mambo, you are our young shining star. We could tell from the way your body was moving around. We are motivated, especially with us, some of us who are already at the era of our, should I call it, the pinafores, double stomachs, and you name it. And we have indicated that to us that a life in a whole healthy body is the best life. And I wonder how many of us can still do the lunges, the squats, the donkey kicks, the toe touches, the normal crunches, the plank, side plank, lady push-ups, shoulder taps, back plank ups. And those are some of them that we have indicated that you will be actually helping us go through when we join your Instagram at Get Fit with Sane. Hopefully, a lot of us will do that. We have also shown that we have been able to navigate this period of COVID-19, as we all know that it had a lot of challenges, especially with the gyms and anybody else who also offer the wellness, because that kind of industry requires a face-to-face kind of work. But we have indicated that we have been able to navigate that and go through all those challenges, and we are still there, and we are here today. We take a lot of courage from you with that. Thank you a lot, Sane. I'll then go to our school and thank Mrs. Judy Tate, our executive director. I'm not sure whether she is also linked in here, but she is. This is for her as well, for being instrumental in raising our school from ashes after it closed down and reopened in 1997. When it opened in 1997, we only had part-time principals. So she was actually our first full-time principal in 2002. And I'm wondering how many of us are aware of that. That she has been able to take Inanda Seminary to its former glory, where it used to be. Otherwise, I wonder where it could have been if she hasn't been there. But we're very grateful for this, Judy. And I'm sure we don't say it enough, but we are. And we are still here today, again, during these trying times of COVID-19. You and your trailblazing team are preparing our young members to be well-rounded leaders in the fourth industrial revolution, despite all those challenges. And we have shown this to us time and time again. When the school closed in April, all the members were taught through remote learning, through using technology. And you were able to do that for the school, together with Tembi, who is our new principal at the moment. Now, to Tembi, our new principal, Tembi also has been in our school for quite a long time. Even during that time when it reopened in 1999, Tembi came to our school very young at that time as a teacher, and then she left again. And then she came back again in the 2000s. So Tembi, we are very grateful that you are now our principal of our school. And you have brilliantly led our school during these trying times. You and the academic sector of our school, you are actually making sure that all members don't feel like there is COVID-19. To them, it's simply a time like any other time during the school time. They are learning, they are preparing for the writing of their final exams at the end of the year. And also thank you for painting the picture for us as all members who are no longer there, that things are not as glim as we sometimes want to think of them to be, that the school is still forging ahead despite all the challenges, and it is still Inanda as we know it. It's not going to crumble to ashes. So thank you so much for that, Tembi. To our program director, Ucawe, member, you have kept us glued on the screen, and also you have also been such a wonderful program director. We would not have been able to go through all this program without you, and introducing all the people with so much detail that is actually there within you. You can actually tell that you actually understood each and every part of our presenters. Thank you for being a wonderful program director. And I'm sure it's not yet over, because the last word will end with you as the last word started with you. To our chair, ISA chair, member, Dr. Sipogazi Koyan, your energy and drive has brought us to this moment. We are in awe of your visionary leadership during these challenging times. The fact that you still managed to be our ISA chair and still be engaged in our fundraising effort is just mind-boggling, because we know how difficult we can be as all member. But we are still able to rise all about that. and still come out with such a wonderful team that works with you. We couldn't have asked for a better chair. And we look forward to even more amazing things that are going to happen in future. And our fundraising subcommittee members, led by Ukani, or member, your effort, your performance has actually exceeded our expectations. You have been innovative, you have been agile, and this is actually been a very high mammoth task. But we have risen above all that. We have been able to organize and execute such an event. Our bank balance in the ISA bank account, I'm sure is going to be looking promising because of you. Give any woman a task and then they'll surprise you. It is beyond any of our imagination and expectations that it could have been like this. Well, umemba ulihle ngongoma, our own jazz artist and versatile, with a versatile music genre. Abegumnandi, yes, ubusinandisela. It was beautiful. We enjoyed all the wonderful pieces that you'd given to us. Since you come from KwaNqethu, ungumkhaya wami. We are just a stone throw away from here. I'm sure I'm about 4 or 5 kilometers from where you were, being here next to Waterfall. And I'm sure you can tell later on that I know exactly where you come from. And I can just tell from your beautiful voice that it has been nurtured by the wonderful valleys and hills of our beautiful, unique Valley of the Thousand. You make us proud. Did I just lose everybody there? Okay, I thought maybe I had lost somebody. Now to Charlene. Right, Charlene, thank you so much for being with us today. Charlene is the CEO of the award-winning TICS SA. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Not sure whether is it TICSA or is it TICSA? TICSA, not TICS SA. Okay, TICSA. With your efficient team, you have provided the ticketing platform and you have helped us to collect the donations. And to Kone, who is also heading the digital technician behind the scenes. And we are still even producing even now, Kone. Is it Kone? Oh, I hope so. I'm pronouncing it correctly. You are still there and you are guiding us all through all our glitches. And this is new. It's a new thing for a lot of us, being on these kinds of platforms. But we have made our life quite easily. To our sponsors and donors, thank you for giving generously. And also by those who are buying tickets, by those who are donating auction items. I won't mention everybody else, but we'll first thank Ubabu, Mr. Craig Mark. I nearly said Ubabu Craig Mark. Mr. Craig Mark, the director of Melrose Art Gallery, for donating the Clean Stradom, very special historic piece, the Battle of Isandlwana. It is so forfeiting because it portrays the battle in our province and is also within our school province. Also heartfelt gratitude to the following: Usbusisiwe Khumalo, Salt and Pepper, Amalanga Creations Events Planning by Nomalanga Pride in Kabinde, Cream Restaurant, Alateka Restaurant, Portobello Beauty, Vuyo Nwaiba, Thandeka Magagula, Baxolile Zwane, Jazz Mbanjwa, Nabongwane, Naturals and OT Dio, Tina Epoka, Mteto Nyati, Jade Madingwane, Bongile Stole, Roundies Fashion. The window is still open for others to do likewise. It's still open for more of the donations. Also, it wouldn't be a day like this if we didn't have all our friends and all the participants. Without you, there would have never been an ESA virtual fundraising event. So thank you for buying the tickets. Thank you for taking part. Thank you for comments. Thank you for bidding in the auction as we speak. Thank you for the supporting of this virtual fundraising event. Tubo member, thank you for always being there for our school. Shine, members, shine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gugu or Catherine. As the last item on the agenda, I would like to say this event would not have happened without the marketing and the events supporting and the fundraising team, and led by Kanya Matlare, and everybody else, Lindo, Pogazi, and everybody in that committee. We would like to say that as the fundraising team of the alumni, we are indebted to you. And I am sure that everyone is joining me in saying that you are not only innovative, you are smart, and that in your hands, the fundraising activities of Inanda Seminary are in safe hands. Thank you so much. We will close off then the function now with another of Lihle Mgongoma's musical items. Thank you so much and goodbye to everybody. And shine where you are. Shine.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so special about that day. Even your emotions got an echo with so much hate. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was so afraid. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. I just knew too much. Twice, baby, that's my only